What's up, world? It's your boy, Mike Muse. Welcome to the conversation, the Mike Muse Show. Man, I don't know what to say about my next guest. I am so excited to be in conversation with Adam Blackstone. I am a band geek, as you guys all know. I grew up playing the alto saxophone since sixth grade. I want to be very clear, from sixth to 12th grade.
There you go.
But I would say, hey, man, I had some chops, Adam. I was first chair the entire time. I was all city jazz band. And I was drum major for my marching band. But why I'm excited to talk to somebody like you is because, Adam, I never saw a career in music, in particular as a jazz musician. And I thought at the time my options would be limited. And so I didn't pursue it any further. So I got to college, I abandoned it. And my band director, Mr. Hicks, he said, I will regret it one day. And sure enough, I do, but I didn't have a North Star. But audience, if I would have had Adam Blackstone as a North Star to know that a band geek could produce not one, but two NFL Super Bowls, folks. Yes, that's right. Last year's the crazy, three, my bad. If I'm gonna spit data, get the data correct. 3 Super Bowls. So he's gonna get me to the third one. 4 Super Bowls. We could just keep going. Oh, wait, yeah. So I forgot Justin Timberlake.
Justin, Shakira, J-Lo.
But no, let me do it. Oh, wait, no, let's do it. Okay, all right. I wouldn't have got the Shakira. So Justin Timberlake, Shakira and J-Lo, Dr. Dre, Eminem, Kendrick, Mary J. Blige. And then, folks, coming up this Super Bowl Sunday, Rihanna. In addition to, I had the chance to meet him last year when he was a music director for the Oscars. And I had the chance to host the official pre-Oscar press conference. Listen, I'm gonna stop talking without further ado. The incredible, the talented, the incredible Adam Blackstone. What's up, my guy?
What's up, man? How are you, bro? That was amazing. Thank you for the amazing intro. Had a great time with you last year with Will and Shayla, and man, we carrying it right on through this year, and looking forward to what this year's Super Bowl is about to do, man. God has been good. It's been a great year. Not only with Reed, but my album came out, went #1 on Billboard Legacy. Got Grammy nominations, Image Awards nominations for the album, and so it's all up from here.
Adam, before we even get to all the blessings coming your way, who was your North Star? I mean, just as I mentioned, I didn't have a North Star. Everyone who I was playing the jazz greats, but they were all much older, did traditional gigs, and shout out to all that, because I love going to traditional jazz concerts and clubs, but that's all I saw. So how did you see this life for yourself? Because there's lots of parents out there who are listening, who has kids who are coming of age, who maybe picking up a saxophone or a bassist or something.
Yeah, I think it was a sense of community. My father quit his day job, and became a full-time musician, what we would call today a wedding band kind of guy, singer, but he made a living doing that and provided for our family. So I always knew that music was possible, and to do and to sustain a living. I had no idea and dreamed of the levels that music could take me right now all over the world, and being on these stages. I think moving to Philadelphia as well in 2000 for college helped shape me so greatly by being now, and I grew up in New Jersey, but moved to Philly, this big city, and just saw the hustle and grind that the city alone pursued and was all about. And so when I met people like Questlove and James Poyser and Sean G and Richard Nichols, rest in peace, the Roots crew just really opened a whole new light to how music, and at that time, soul music, underground music, could really permeate the world. This was before they were on the Tonight Show and, playing for all of these super duper star acts. But I saw that, music had the power to and the ability to change how people felt, how people viewed emotions that they were going through. And I was like, you know what? I want to be a part of that. How can I do that? And I continued to press forward, continue to dream big dreams, and really put no limitations on myself, Mike. Never chased the money, because I knew that by doing a great job financially, the money would then come if I did my job with excellence and strived for greatness.
I love that. I'm curious, Adam, because I feel like now musicians are becoming celebrities, right? Themselves are becoming the individuals out front. And what I mean by that was we kind of gone through so many different eras, right? With different industries where the chefs were just, individuals who were behind the scenes in the kitchen. And then all of a sudden you saw
A
the
great
celebrity
analogy.
cultiveness of chefs.
Yeah.
We saw their producers were always behind the scenes making the great artists. And then all of a sudden the Neptunes come along and Pharrell becomes an entity unto himself. And then Dr. Dre and Timberland and Missy in the whole nine, right? And now I do believe we're seeing like the surgeons of musicians who were in the band, right, on concerts, on stage, actually now coming to the forefront, such as yourselves. When did that click for you to say, you know what, I think I can chart a really dope career? I'm always curious about that inflection point of when someone just goes from being in the band to like carving out their own career, such as you have done for yourself.
You know what? I think it was believing in myself from an early stage, but one moment that I can maybe pinpoint is maybe like early 2012, curating two different things that year were big for me. Curating what we call Legends of the Summer, which was Justin Timberlake and Jay-Z's set.
Yeah.
At that point for me, it was like I had done some super incredible things. Kanye, Janet, Drake, Jill Scott, but never to the magnitude of stadium status, right? And so having arguably, a prince of pop music and having arguably, the greatest of all time hip hop star join forces, and then them asking me my opinions on the music, right? And really putting me in their forefront to say, let's check in with Adam to see if this makes sense. That gave me all the confidence in the world to then go to later on that year and MD my first BET Awards. And for the producers like Jesse Collins and Dion Harmon and Connie Orlando to really say, Adam, what do you think about this concept? No, you're not feeling this. Okay, how would you make it better? And so my creative juices began to flow out off of my instrument. You understand what I'm saying? And so I think that that's one of the reasons why, Mike, you're saying musicians are being brought to the forefront, because off of our instruments, we are providing a creative freedom. We're providing creative insight to these artists that we've been backing for so long. We're now either applying it to television and TV spaces, or we're applying it to ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And that feels good. There's nothing like seeing your own name on the marquee and knowing that the same amount of fervor and the same amount of energy that I'm putting into the Super Bowl, I'm now putting back into myself.
I think it's exciting, man. I mean, I hope you take this, ego aside. I think it's great because there's so many young boys and girls out there who are incredible musicians, who are practicing right now as we're doing this interview, hoping to do something one day, who are fighting for that first chair position, right? And I think when they see people like you, Adam, it unlocks the potential. Like that's why I'm always so excited to meet you, and be in conversation with you, because I just wish I had you, right? If I wish I would have had you, meaning someone who I could see as a North Star, I probably would have stuck to my saxophone because I really loved it. But again, it talks about the power of exposure, right? And showing what is possible, right? To know that you were the
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I'm just was telling somebody about my children. It's like, their norm now is to go see, Auntie Alicia Keys and like Uncle Justin Timberlake. And then it makes it a little more normal for it to say, I can do and be whatever I want to do and be in this space. And also make sure that they know that it's all possible because they have tangible things around them, which is another reason even why I made my album Legacy, is to have something for my children to attain and to actually hold on to for their own. I'm so blessed to be able to play for all of these artists. But we, as us going through a pandemic, really showed me that tomorrow's not promised. And what do I want my own legacy, my family and my children to be proud of from me? Yes, they're going to be proud of the Oscars. Yes, they're going to be proud of the Super Bowl. But what do they own from me? And that's where I buckled down and made this album and made my first album to really present something tangible from my family to hold on to when it comes to having the name attached to it.
I'm even going to go further. I know you're talking from this very micro perspective of your family. I'm going to go macro and really look at the impact, because Adam, I feel like this generation right now, our parents is of the hip hop generation, right? And so they're watching the Super Bowl with, the Kendricks and the Dre's and the J's, and they're seeing the Rihanna concert coming up pretty soon. And for me, because I was a musician, I ended up going and became an engineer. So, at the University of Michigan, I did industrial engineering and chemical research. So I wasn't really happy with it. But far too often, and the Black community in particular, we're kind of forced to do very traditional careers because of our parents, of my generation parents, didn't see these other careers as viable and possible or sustaining. And so I think for now, the hip hop generation, when they see people like you, Adam, I hope when their son or daughter comes to them and says, I want to be a musician, they can say, you know what, do it, because maybe you could be an Adam Blackstone one day. I want to pivot to Legacy, which is this Grammy-nominated album that's coming up, in particular with the performance of Around Midnight with Jasmine Sullivan. And, I'm doing all the things you should not do as a journalist, is make this about yourself, insert self. Around Midnight was my favorite song to play in jazz band. I always able to take the lead on that.
Wow.
So I have a very special attachment to Around Midnight. Your album, and I'm not just saying this because you're here. I've actually said it previously when you weren't on the show. It's rare these days, Adam, that we get a complete project where you can push play and listen to the whole album from beginning to end without skipping. And it's also, it sounds so, all the singles just merge together. Sonically, it just sounds like one continuum, kind of long song, if you will.
Yeah.
But as you were talking about like the sets, I kept hearing this term in my mind, like a curator, right? Like you're a curator of the sets, right?
For sure.
I feel like you curated your album like that, right?
I did.
Am I right with that assumption?
You're very right. I am hired, normally outsourced, hired to create set lists, to create a show flow, to create an experience. And so I poured that same energy back into myself making this album. Once the songs were individually done, I played with the order super heavy because, the genre that I'm in, very progressive R&B, progressive jazz. I even though I led with the single Round Midnight, it still to me was like a complete project. You know what I'm saying? It was like, this encompasses everything that I am. It's a little bit of gospel, it's a little bit of jazz, it's a little bit of R&B, it's a lot of soul. And that comes from my soul. And so when I wanted people to hear it down, you talking about Kirk Franklin praying over the album first, and then we go to something like Fly Me to the Moon, right? Which is like Leslie Odom. And then the next song is my son actually doing a spinoff of when he heard Fly Me to the Moon. He was like, Dad, but how about the stars? You know what I mean? Like you're forgetting this whole, astrological thing. So anyway, I wanted to tell a complete story of legacy from my children, your grandchildren, my grandchildren, from my friends' children. It was like, how do we continuously have this through line of paying it forward and loving on one another through the music? And so I spent a lot of time curating that album playlist for sure, and I think it came out really good. We have some peaks, we have some valleys, we have some emotional moments, we got some sexy moments, we got some super musical moments where you like, woo, that girl is singing, or that boy playing, and then we end, with the hip hop of it all, of Legacy, and making sure that people know I still got that boom bap, and I want to, still drive the point home with a little bit of hip hop.
Well, you did that. And before I land on Around Midnight, I just want to say, I think in terms of 2022, your album, Beyonce's Renaissance, and Kendrick's, for me, was the most complete album in terms of like telling a story. Wow. When you play from beginning to end, like no skips. I want to lean into a little bit, because I was going to ask you about track 1, which was Kirk Franklin. How did you imagine that song? Because I love your use of Kirk Franklin, right? It wasn't like this overpowering, kind of song. It was your use of him, I thought, was just so perfect. Like it was very restrained too as well. Like there was moments I wanted more, but then I was like, I'm actually good, right? And so I wanted how did you approach how did you approach that track?
That's a great question. Actually, nobody's ever asked me that. I was inspired by a couple different things. Alicia Keys has this song called Raise a Man that always like really spoke to me as having a son and praying for my son to be here before he was even here. And so sonically, I wanted to give that same feeling because I knew how that chord structure, how it moved me and how it touched me. So I went in with a homie of mine from France, Mateus, and we structured this song, and I pulled out my upright bass and started vibing on a couple of different things. And then I had a session with Kirk Franklin, and not many people know this, for a Justin Timberlake song that we did for the inauguration called Better Days. And Kurt felt the song so much that when the song went off, he just kept preaching or inspiring and encouraging through his voice. He has such a powerful voice. I had that audio that was never used for a long time. And so when I talked to Kurt about being on the record, I was like, this is what I want you to do. And he was like, oh, you want me to do what I did on the other one that we didn't use? I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, but we didn't use it. So let me see if I can, rehash it. And then if he said, well, let me know. And I got you. Cause he's such an inspiring figure to me, just his words and his presence alone. So one of the phrases he said on that thing was, today is a new day. And I don't know why that just caught me right away. I ended up sampling that and looping that thing. and starting my album off like that just means so much to me. And I think it means a lot to people. It's like, no matter what you're going through, no matter the trials and tribulations, you put this record on, you wake up in the morning because God has blessed us to open our eyes and wake up. Today is a new day. You have another chance to start over. And so he drove that point home so much with that. The marriage of the music with his vocal just kind of happened, Mike, honestly. I knew the spaces where I wanted to use them. And then when I went to the bridge, which, really set off the big bandness of what my album was about to be, I wanted that to be completely open. But when we get back to that groove, I wanted him to drive in like, it's a new day. God is blessing us. So.
But you see how I wanted more, but then you gave me just enough. I wanted a little bit more, and then you gave me just enough.
Yeah. It's a give and take because that allows you to go to the next record and be like, okay, what's about to happen? And so I think it's as I think about it, Mike, and I never thought about it like this until you said it, like each song almost has a little bit of a cliffhanger to get you to that next.
It does. But see, I think that's the beauty of great artistry too, is the ability to have the restraint, right? And I won't even dare try to even do musical comparisons and notes with you, right? But in my amateur music directorness, I always think that sometimes the singers who can have really great restraints with their runs, I think it delivers such a much more powerful performance than the singer who just runs everywhere, right?
Jasmine Sullivan, man, Jasmine teaches us that placement is everything. Less is more, but if you can do it and when you do it, it speaks volumes.
The restraint. Sometimes there's power in the restraint, right?
Yes, and even musically as a musician, there's power in silence. Yeah.
Yes, there's power, because sometimes like that is like where I think the goodness of the energy happens, is like even in silence. Like there's sometimes in interviews, like there's like that pregnant pause. Like I'm not afraid of a pregnant pause because for me, it's like I'm gonna let this moment sit and be still. But I like
to call it a drama bar.
Yeah, it's okay to be silent, right? It's okay to sit with something. Everything doesn't need to be talked over, all the time. But I'm gonna move on. I love the idea as you were talking, Adam. I love how Kurt went first on your album, because Kurt, for me, reimagined gospel music. I'm a church boy too, in the choir, all the things, right? And so he reimagined what gospel music could be and what the church experience can be. And for me, what you're doing with jazz is really reimagining jazz, reimagining musicianship, right? And reimagining what R&B could be. Talk to us about Around Midnight, because what I love about you is that you're not afraid to keep the traditional arrangement, but at the same time using your own interpretations. Like some people are scared to touch a master, right? And so
that's never been me. That's never been me. Well, that came about one of my first Philadelphia music moments was hearing this 13-year-old girl, 14-year-old girl sing. And her name was Jasmine Sullivan. And I had never heard anything like that in my life. And so she continued to just blow my mind and get better and better and better. And then we became friends and we became co-workers. And she began to call on me for some ideas, especially after she got her record deal and working with Missy and stuff like that. I never forgot that Round Midnight was one of her Philly open mic, like classic joints. It wasn't like that how we did, but just her doing that song. And so when I got the opportunity to really be planted in doing jazz and solidify that that's what I kind of wanted my album to be, she was one of the first calls. And I said, listen, I'm going to get you this trophy in a whole different genre. We're going to do something crazy. And it kind of didn't work out like that. We're in the R&B category. But I'm very thankful that I do think that people were able to see me and her in a different light, no matter the color of our skin. We were able to, even though jazz is America's earliest form of Black music, but I do think that at times we get pigeonholed because of who we are and what we look like. However, there's no doubt about it, and Spotify said it best that Round Midnight was one of the top vocal jazz records of 2022. She kills it. I had an incredible time producing her. It's so light in the studio because her voice can literally do anything. Like I can suggest something, I can play something on the bass, play something on the piano, play something on the sax, and it's like she mimics it. She is literally a human instrument, and we are blessed to really see the fruit of what is happening through her and through her voice. And I think we're going to look back at this time and look at Pick Up Your Feelings and look at, Need You Bad and Bust Your Windows, but also Round Midnight is going to be a Jasmine Sullivan like classic. I can really feel.
I think it is.
That
Jasmine's vocals is a gift, and I don't use that word loosely at all. But I also think the good thing about with Jasmine is, what I've enjoyed is that she's picked the right producers. So I think having you work with her is so key because and I'm not gonna name any names, there are some great vocalists out there that hasn't really popped in terms of tracks and albums. When they do tributes and performances, like their voice just soars to the rafters and everyone falls out. But then when they get into the studio, there's something about the album of them.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of the song. It's a little bit of song choice as well. So me knowing that she was familiar with that record, granted it be 10, 12 years ago, I knew that I could pull something out of her because of her younger connection to it. And now she's been through a couple things. She's an adult, and now she can literally talk about her thinking about her guy at midnight, or thinking about a family situation that may not have gone that well around midnight. Sometimes when you singing and playing and you don't got a connection to the words, you're literally just singing. But now we can hear the season in her voice. We can hear the maturity in the word and how she's approaching these lyrics, because it just means something different in today. And I was so blessed to have her on this record and be my lead single, and now Grammy nominated from the Legacy album.
Well, I'm so thankful for you and for that duet that we were able to get. Listen, I can talk to you all day, Adam. I can't keep you. We got to keep having more conversations like this. But I am curious, while I have you, we talked about curating, and you have a big show coming up with the Super Bowl halftime with Rihanna. And for me, don't tell me the track list. I don't even know if you guys have it even set yet. I don't want to know what songs it is. I just want to know, what is your methodology for approaching this Rihanna? Because I do believe this one, for me as a fan, seems a little bit different, right? Like you had the Shakira and J-Lo, but we used to music from them and seeing them perform. Justin Timberlake, we're used to music, seeing them perform. Kendrick, Eminem, we're used to seeing them perform. Rihanna, she's been away for so long. The amount of anticipation for what she's gonna do. How does one approach all those different variables to approach this type of set list?
I have to be honest and say, and this might not be what the people want to hear, but my approach is the same. And I think that's why they got me. The Super Bowl is a catalog, what we call a catalog show. Rihanna is always envelope pushing and anti the norm. No pun intended.
No pun intended. I was about to say that.
but at the same time, you know, what we want to do to have non-Rihanna fans, which are maybe the football dads and stuff like that, we want them to be entertained. We want them to leave watching a fan of Rihanna's. And so I'm kind of taking the same approach as I would do to make sure that each song is represented for the fans, but also for the new listener as well, to say, this is going to be a great show, or this artist is deserving of this reward to do halftime as well. And she has hit after hit after hit, spans from global hip hop to global EDM to global dance to global world songs. It's just like, you know, R&B, hip hop, you're going to get it all, I promise. But I have taken a similar approach with making sure that everybody leaves happy from their favorite moments from her.
Now, I don't know if you're going to include this in the set list, but I am curious, and you said like EDM, I'm curious to see where you would place We Fell in Love in a Hopeless Place, that song. I'm curious if you use it.
I never heard of that song. I never heard of that.
Yeah, I'm curious if it's going to be used, where you're going to place it at. With that being said, final question. I know this, my other one's going to be the final question. How much thought do you put into the opening track? Because for me, a concert, the first song, how an artist enters the stage and what song they choose, for me, just sets the tone for the concert. I actually don't want to be, I'm cool being late to a lot of things, but I never want to be late to a concert. I don't want to miss the opener.
That's interesting, man. So again, I'm being a little anti, and this is, you know, through me having a lot of experience live, is that sometimes I like the first song to be a throwaway song, because depending on who the artist is, people scream over it. And so for me, the second song is more important than the first song.
Plot twist. All right.
Yeah, because once they scream through it, or I'll do a classic Adam Blackstone BBE intro moment, you know, big band and all of this stuff to get the screaming out, so that almost acts as like a first song. You know what I'm saying?
That's such a jewel.
But if you're starting right away, sometimes the first song is a throwaway because you're just so excited to see that artist. And so once you soak that in and say, oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. Oh my God, he's up there. He's really there. Oh my God, he has this set, whatever. Oh my gosh, she's doing this dance. Once you sink into that, you're about, 6 minutes in, and like that second song hits you and you like, oh, okay, we in it now. You know what I'm saying?
All right, I'm gonna look at the Super Bowl from a different perspective now. I'm gonna see what you got cooking, because for me,
I mean, not just Super Bowl, but I did that.
But just
with
anything,
Janet. I did that with Kanye tour. I do that with Justin. It's kind of like we're so excited to see these artists, and I'm a fan of music, so I know how that feels. I know how that feels, and so
you mentioned Janet, and I know you work with Janet, and for me, that's what set it off for me. She is the queen of openers, right? Opening number, coming out. She, for me, has always set the tone for that one. Adam Blackstone, man, our time is up, dude. I love you. I don't even know you that well.
Much love, Mike. Much love.
I am rooting for you. I cannot wait to Super Bowl. I can't wait to see you bringing this live experience across the country, man. Look forward to seeing a show in person, man.
Absolutely, man. Very, very soon, the Legacy Experience is going on tour, so look out for that. And I look forward to seeing you too soon, bro.
Yeah. Audience, if you have not downloaded, streamed Legacy, you will not be disappointed. It's on all streaming platforms. Get it now. Until next time, peace. Adam, love you, man. Good luck, buddy.
Thank you, brother.
All right, bye-bye.